With all of the behind the scenes moments between live action to animation, it's great to see the shots and how creators were able to pull it off. For over a decade now, I've been fascinated by just how storytellers were able to even come up with the idea of certain scenes. And not only that, but the technology and creativity behind it all. For example, we all know how celebrities record their lines for an animated series or film, sometimes with the other actor they are talking to. Or if it's a funny scene and they can't get it together, they are separated into other rooms for their lines. But in particular, for The Little Mermaid, Jodie Benson had to crouch in the corner for some of her lines for recording Part of Your World.
So what I finally had to do was we had to turn off all the lights in the studio.
I want to be where the people are. If you don't, it doesn't need a lot of breath to keep it down.
And I had to sit like this. I had to close my eyes. And I had to just cover up my face like this and do all the work like that.
Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Out of the sea.
And it may seem odd that this was done, but in the end it worked well, as the strength and precision in her voice made it very recognizable and memorable, to say the least. Today we will be delving deeper into the best scenes and figuring out just how they were done. Continuing on with our list, Jim Carrey put on a one-of-a-kind film with The Grinch. With as much stress and quote-unquote torture that Jim Carrey went through with this film, he explained just how harsh it was on him.
Literally, the makeup was like being buried alive every day.
How long did it take?
The first day was 8.5 hours. And I went back to my trailer and put my leg through the wall, and I told Ron Howard I couldn't do the movie. I did the makeup 100 times.
And when looking at the makeup process, we can understand why he felt this way.
Jim Carrey worked on the film for 92 days, and he came in early every morning to sit for 2.5 hours while his makeup was applied.
Another really exciting film made recently, or at least released recently, was Avatar 2. The first Avatar was hard enough to create, let alone a sequel that was shot almost all underwater. And every time we see the behind the scenes of this film, or even the first one, you can recognize just why the director did the film the way that it was, not only for realism, but of the effect and emotion that was brought into the film just from how it was shot.
There are different ways to make films that have CG characters. What we're interested in with performance capture is the totality of the performance. Physical, emotional, facial, the eyes, everything. The actor creates the emotion, the actor creates the moment.
Megan is one of the first films to release for 2023 on January 6th, about a lifelike doll that's programmed to be a child's greatest companion and a parent's greatest ally. Many people were very mesmerized by the movements and wondered just how they made this robot character so lifelike, and they did so by using a real person who was of course played by Amy Donald, while also using a different actress's voice.
It's allowed to learn kind of autonomously. What are they going to learn and what are they going to do with that information? Without any context, without any parenting, so to speak. What does that knowledge do? How does it get ingested and digested and then, repurposed? And that is one of the driving questions of the movie.
Next, we can look at a classic, Ghostbusters, the original from 1984. Back in this time, you wonder how they were able to pull off all of these special effects.
Hi, folks.
In Second City and Saturday Night Live, in Caddyshack, Meatballs, Stripes, Animal House, Blues Brothers, Tootsie, Trading Places, National Lampoon's Vacation, and more.
And speaking of classics, Back to the Future was a pretty memorable one as well. Even in Back to the Future Part 2, when they traveled to 2015, many articles came out comparing what they actually predicted we would have technology-wise at the time, and it turns out a lot of it was correct. We had everything from video glasses to hands-free gaming to video phones and even hoverboards.
A hoverboard is a board that hovers on magnetic energy, and it works just like a skateboard, except it doesn't have any wheels and you don't have to have any pavement to hover on. And they've been around for years. It's just that parents groups have not let the toy manufacturers make them, and we got our hands on some.
And then there comes Titanic, where there was this controversial scene of Jack not climbing onto the wooden door in order to be saved.
It should be about her having fun and joy in this moment. And she doesn't care that all these guys with all their machines have been doing all this stuff. Josh, let's start with Jorge and group here, and we'll do their cross out. And Leo's sort of like, Jack's sort of looking around imitating.
The Muppets is another film or characters that have appealed to numerous people around the world for a very long time now. Created by Jim Henson, the Muppets are an ensemble group of comedic puppet characters. Affiliated with Sesame Street, teaching kids about life lessons, sometimes harder than others, acting is one thing, but trying to make an inanimate object appear so lifelike is a different skill.
They put the puppet over my head, goes down to about my knees. My right hand is up in the air inside the head, and that moves the mouth of Big Bird.
And that makes me talk like Big Bird like this.
Inside the head, there's also a little trigger on my pinky that moves Big Bird's eyelids up and down. Then my left hand is inside Big Bird's left wing, and the right wing, there is a monofill that goes up through his neck.
Harry Potter has been popular for over 20 years now and doesn't show any signs of slowing down, even with J.K. Rowling announcing that she is done writing the books. However, we can look at how they managed to do the broomstick flying at the time. In 2001 compared to now, the technology wasn't as advanced as it was, but you'd be surprised to find that it wasn't all that complicating.
A lot of the flying sequences and dynamic movement sequences are shot using green screen and rig work.
If we're working a flying sequence, we'll have the actors on a practical broom rig, and that will allow us to do a certain amount of movement, and we'll program the rig with our animation data so it looks like the actor's steering the broom and he's riding around.
Stranger Things is also a very popular series, of course, with a bunch of scenes pertaining special and visual effects. And there was one particular scene that gained a lot of popularity, and that is the scene of which Max gets possessed by Vecna.
Today we're rehearsing the cemetery, the Max levitation. Just bringing Sadie in today to get her comfortable in the wire, having her get her hooked up on the lines and have her feel how it's going to feel on the day when we're out there shooting at the cemetery today. Okay, let's take her out.
You want an end mark?
You're a little bit more straight up.
Keanu Reeves is an actor that many can recognize, and The Matrix from 1999 gained recognition. And with all the gunfights that happens in this movie, it kind of makes you wonder how they did certain scenes. Lastly, with the announcement of Rush Hour 4, we can remember all of the films beforehand. As we know, Jackie Chan has done a lot of his own stunts.
Almost. As an airplane, okay? Don't waste my English. It sounds okay.
Put the bag in the back. No. I gotta do it again.
So which scene was your favorite, and would you be interested in seeing more of these kinds of behind-the-scenes moments of various films? I know there are so many films out there that a lot of people wonder how they do it.